at the time, I didn't know anything about the process. So the process was like, hey, go stand in some like Beverly Hills mall and like stay there and sleep overnight like you're sleeping for Jordans with a bunch of people. I have no idea who they are. And I had to believe this, right? I'm just like, all right, because I heard about my goal was I want to be there when Phil Spencer comes on the stage, the Microsoft press. My dream is press conference. That's all I cared about. Anything else after that is cherry on the top. So I was like, is this the path to do it? They were like, yes. And at that time, I saw Wagaman.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Megatron was, but at the time, I remember seeing him. And it was Tim Dog. So I kind of stood in the pocket around them. And I was like, all right, these guys look like an Xbox
I see some faces.
I see some faces. I didn't know what it was, but they were very cool and nice to me. Yeah. So then at the time, shout out to my man, Anthony Ruler, he was there. And we call it our ILP West Coast guys who they were like, you came all the way from New York, cuz? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, it was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, you ain't know nothing about this. I'm like, yeah, man. This was like, it was like a pilgrimage, like a religious pilgrimage. I have to go to one of these, right? So then, he was cool because I remember what Tim was like, I'm telling you, he was like, not only are you getting FanFest card, you're gonna get to go to E3 on top of that. So I didn't believe him. And I remember I still have pictures of us in this thing. So the executive, we spend the night literally on the floor, thousands of people in this damn mall, they lock us in. And then the morning comes and you start to hear people talking and you see Greenwald from Turn 10. You start to see at the time Bill Stillwell. I didn't know who he was. And Aaron Greenberg comes in, Phil Spencer comes in, and it's like this group of executives all coming and mapping. And they're just like, look, guys, you are our most loyal fans. We're gonna reward you, And then I think they gave us like a little care package, what like State of Decay had food in it. It was like, they fed us because obviously whatever. But then we got our little FanFest swag. And then they put us into like a bus into like the USC campus something. And at that time, that's when Phil comes out. You guys, appreciate you. You're a law fans. You're gonna go to the Microsoft press conference after this amazing breakfast they gave us. And they were like, it was almost like The Price is Right, and everyone's going.
Oh, right. Check under your sleeping bag.
So I'm right next to Tim, and I'm like hugging and squeezing Tim. He's like, I told you, bro. So nice. We like it was. I have that recorded. I still have that recorded. It was. I have to find it, but it was a magic moment.
The wall the other night. Thanks for kind of dealing with us with all of our lines and figuring stuff out. The response from you was overwhelming, which is great. Really appreciate that. So thanks. We're getting ready for the show. I think this is going to be a really special show for us. Somebody who's been at Xbox since the beginning. I think about the days of like 0 Hour. I think about our original announce that we did of OG Xbox. I think it's going to be one of those moments. So let's make sure And I will say, since we've made the move to really bring the important people into the show, you guys, our fans, and you sitting right there. So when we come out, all of the speakers, especially myself, the energy we feel that you bring when the show starts is critical to what we're doing. This show is definitely for you guys. So they need to go put some makeup on this ugly mug and try to get me to look like something on TV. But we've got one more announce. Everybody's here. You go into the E3 briefing.
I love him because this is why I do a podcast with him. I love him. I love the fact that he's him. He's gonna be,
and I love the fact that because you believe what you say, though. I respect you believe it.
It's a nice DLC. Same thing as whatchamacallit was a good DLC. What is
You're
that?
gonna
Tears
say
of Kingdom.
Zelda.
Beautiful DLC. Beautiful, beautiful deal. Ragnarok, beautiful DLC. Beautiful, beautiful. We've been here. This world smells the same.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Spider-Man is going to be incredible. I mean, they don't miss. They make amazing games. Everybody, it's undeniable. But I mean, if you just take a 30,000 foot view of what's going on and you look at all everybody ever says is, when is something new going to happen? When is somebody going to make something new and creative and push the boundaries of just gaming in general, where we can actually do something different, where they're going to actually push the bar and go out of their comfort zone. Look how far. I love what Bethesda has done, because a lot of games they try to, and I'm sure it's a fear of the publishers putting pressure on the studios, where they're like, you got to make everything compact because we want the casual gamer to be able to experience as much as possible, as early as possible, so everybody's hooked and everybody can have a quick experience, because they probably have all the data where the average gamer only plays for a couple hours a week, if that, and they want them to have the same experience as a hardcore gamer who's going to be having 20 hours every couple days. And Bethesda, they didn't take any of that into account. They were like, if you want to really enjoy this game, you're going to have to put it minimum 50 hours into this, and then you're going to just be starting. And if you don't have the type of time to invest in this game, then you're not going to have the full experience. And I love that, because all we ever do is talk about how we want something different. And here it is.
That's a good point.
And it's incredible.
Oh yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I can't stop walking. Just from an art perspective, I can't stop walking. All my screenshots are just of the textures. I can't walk past a single door. All the doors open differently. That alone is crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's not DLC.
Yeah, every single button, every screen, they're all. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm gonna mess with this dude for a minute. He don't know what they released on this Sunday. He just getting back, so I'm gonna push him to his limit this Sunday.
Not much to push.
Well, thank you guys. This is a big deal. I mean, we've known each other for a while. We've all been talking to each other for a while now. And we just haven't gotten together like this. And Cog, we got to finally hang out at FanFest and spend some time together, actually in person. King, I wish you were there. It was a pretty fun time, but I'm sure we all have this coming year to hang out. Yeah. It turned out to be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it was fun.
I really want to have you guys on, one, because of all the hold the line stuff that's been going on, and the coin that we made together and that we're giving out to the community. But also because what I'm trying to do with this podcast is just share basically people's origin stories, just show people where it began, when it didn't even exist, when it may have, before it was even a thought to have what you guys have now, where the inspiration came from, who you guys are, because I know a lot of times in podcasts, whether you're a guest on somebody else's show, it's all gaming focused, and it should be. I mean, that's why we're all here. But I really wanted to focus on you guys, like what drove you to where you are. For anybody that may watch and doesn't know, you guys have a podcast, Iron Lords Podcast. I was looking, you have just about 20,000 subs on YouTube. I couldn't see the numbers on Spotify, but you're on there as well, so I'm sure that's pretty big. Everybody in the community knows who you guys are. You have an amazing reputation. You're great people. I think everybody appreciates the fact that you guys are here and we all enjoy your shows. I know in your description you talk about how you're a group of friends that all got together and decided to do this show. Podcasts are a great excuse for friends to get together. I feel like we're all so busy that they're just kind of an excuse to hang out and talk games. So I'm sure that's where a lot of that came from. Otherwise, we don't really have an excuse to get together as adults. We're not just hanging out anymore. But you talk about the things that you discuss on your show are sports, retro consoles and gaming. And I thought, when I read that, I thought retro consoles would be a pretty cool place to start, because I would love to begin, and either one of you can go. This is a question for both of you. Where you remember video games first hooking you in, or even when you first saw them, maybe they didn't catch you right away, but where they first came into your lives.
Yeah, I'll jump off. For me, my dad was the catalyst. He was a gamer. Him and my mom was split, and my mom was super religious, super strict. And when he would have visitation rights for me, he's like, "I'm taking you to the arcade. I'm doing this. Like, I don't care what she talking about." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was not about the way she was raising me, and I would be able to get away with stuff, but go with him. So yeah, he had a ColecoVision. So that was the first kind of console that I ever saw. I used to come over there and I saw all the different cartridges. He had a huge collection, Donkey Kong, Mr. Do It. What's funny, back then, I realized ColecoVision had all the major, because Nintendo had Donkey Kong, Sega had a game called Turbo that we used to play with a racing, like a racing steering wheel. And I used to love that thing. So I would really look forward to the times I would get visitation rights with him. And then King will remember, the 42nd Street arcade scene. And that was a big thing. You put a kid in front of that with all those lights and this massive arcade thing. So back then, arcade was the next gen. And so my love started then. We'll expand, and I'll give it to King later. But like, obviously King is my cousin, that's family. So like, he's the extension of the retro console, and he's the extension of really helping me understand, what's the new thing that's coming out. Because, I didn't have a lot back then. It would take me time to get stuff, and I would get his hand-me-downs, but he would get the new next gen thing. So King is vital for my console growth, and just to see how technology was going, because he had everything. He literally had everything. So our relationship was really forged from that. But I'll give it to King as far as his start and what his passions were.
Well, my start was very tumultuous, because I grew up in the projects, single parent, father wasn't there for various reasons, whatever. He was in the military. And so growing up in the projects, your whole thing is escape, right? When you get a little bit older, you understand exactly what projects is and what it's designed to do to the individuals that are trapped there. And I say trapped because you want to escape. Anybody that keeps going back to a bad situation, that's ridiculous. So my escape was video games. I remember running away from some bullies at one point in time, and I ran inside Susie's, and there was a Pong there. So we started playing Pong. I just, make sure that the bullies ran away, because they couldn't come inside Susie's and bother you. Susie's was a candy store around my house. So first game that I played was Pong. And then we had pinball machines. I was a pinball wizard, one of those dudes that can put a quarter in, because this quarter took me a long time to get. And I put that one quarter in, and I would stay on that pinball machine forever. And, so the other dudes would look and be like, "Oh, okay, he can play. All right." So, so the first love, like Hog was saying, is arcade machines. And 42nd Street was a huge place back when, you had pimps and hustlers on the corner, and peep shows, 25-cent peep shows, and all this other stuff. It was
different back then.
42nd Street was wild. It was the Wild Wild West. You would have karate movies. Actually, a whole theater would just be for just karate movies. But the biggest staple in New York City was video games, and they had large arcades all over the place. Well, to go to the home consoles, I would have to do various jobs to get money. Like I said, single parent, didn't have any bread. I didn't even know that we was on welfare until I got older, because I would go to the store with food stamps, right? And that's back when you had the booklet. And I didn't know, my moms did such a great job for us not knowing that we were poor. It was just me and her for a long period of time. Then my sister came along and my step pops died. But that's another big thing. But I purchased all my consoles myself, right?
Okay.
So every console, I have every console known to man since they came out, from Vectrex to the Wonder Swan to Sega Master System to Nintendo, everything. So if I was shoveling snow, if I was putting out flyers, whatever I was doing to make ends meet, to feed my addiction for video games, that stuff happened. And so Cog and I hatched this wonderful plan that if I'm finished with something, he gets it. And we both had the turbos tap, and we were playing Motorola and Dungeon Explorer. And Turbo Graphics probably wasn't huge to everybody in the world, but it was huge to us.
Yeah.
And we was our own little converts, because we would convert everybody else around us. Like, what are y'all playing? And same thing to Mr. Ha was there. And so we come from a group of us called the Channel 5.
Yeah.
Right. And Channel 5 consists of a group of boys that was staying in Cog's house. Mama Cog, thank you so much.
Yeah, she put up with a lot.
From playing in the streets and getting in trouble. We will play video games there. And all of us would be inside the house doing that. And at the same time, you mentioned sports. That's where Cog and I would watch boxing matches, as well as wrestling and all those events. So our love of video games started very, very early on, and we bonded over the technology. Like, we would get magazines. Like, he would get a Game Pro, I would get the EGM, and we would get a Game Fan, and then we would sit there and trade off and read and pass it back and forth. And what game you picking up? If you're picking up this game, then I'm gonna get this game.
Right.
Nice.
So that way we can pass it back and forth to each other. So he can say that I'm the catalyst for him, but was also the safe haven for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I never wanted to go back to the projects. Always wanted to stay on Clay Ave at the private house, to show me there's a better way than the way that I was shown.
Right.
So he's always been that shining light, that safe haven for myself. So as much as he views that for me, he doesn't understand that he was that for me. So video games, and it was also my driving force. I got to show him the new game.
Yeah.
So when Neo Geo came out, 700 and some change, and $250 cartridges, I made sure I had every cartridge and made sure that me and him was able to play on this Neo Geo stuff that we see in the arcade. The same exact stuff we see there, we got back here. So it's just every video game console, we had it.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that you guys had this plan and you were focused on something positive. I mean, an escape, and drawn to something creative and more positive. I mean, even today, your message, anybody that knows you guys knows that your message, I mean, you have fun and everything, but you're always focused on remaining driven and going after something that you strive for, a goal, and staying positive and being inspired and drawn to positive things. So it makes a lot of sense that this is where it all began, and that you instantly came up with plans to figure out ways to make things happen that weren't going to happen for you. So that's really interesting to see that that's where it started. Did it, as you guys got a little older, did this continue?
Yeah, it went on for a long time, actually. Again, we got to shout out Mama Cog, because again, living in the South Bronx, at the time we moved from the projects to a private house that my grandfather had. So I was able to, when I got a little in my teenage years, move up to the top floor, which was like almost like a 2-bedroom. Then I had like I had a whole floor of space. So I'm on the top floor. The only thing that would drive my mom's crazy is like 12 to 15 kids going up and down the steps to a fourth floor to get to me. And then we're competitive, right? So we talking, you know, with the Halo, we did so many iconic moments together. Like when Halo came out, we got 4 TVs, you know, we brought this up, and then like 2 in one room, 2 in another room, another in the closet room.
Remember the closet room?
Yeah, that's the Sinister was at, you know what I'm saying? So it was like we had that, you know, the Tekken tournaments and you name it.
Your arcade machine?
The arcade. Then like I was such a, you know, arcade kid and a Shinobi kid and a Sega kid that, you know, I was like, I remember finding a old arcade distributor in Texas. And he was like, you know, this is when the arcade scene was dying. And I, as a kid, you go, I want to own that. I'm gonna. You know,
oh yeah, can you imagine actually having something from the arcade in your house?
I literally have an arcade perfect Shinobi. I got it for like $150.
Wow.
The problem,
it was funny. It was funny.
The problem was a big like 18-wheeler comes down my block, drops off the crated arcade machine, and leaves.
I gotta tell a story.
An arcade cabinet as big as you.
I gotta tell a story. All right, so he ordered it, and we waiting, and it's coming. He said, "It's coming today. You gonna be there?" So, hell yeah, I'm gonna be there. Oh, I can't wait. So we sitting on the stoop, and this big truck comes down the block, rumbling. Now it's okay. So it's parking on each side of the street. I don't know why.
One way with a narrow.
One way in, one way out. Yeah. And this big truck comes in, so it could barely get in. It's squeezing inside, so it gets in there, and then he goes, Eversley, gives him the gives him the manifest so he can sign off on it, and gave him the pink part. Right? He says, good. And he goes, where you want it? He's like, oh, upstairs. He's like, no. Where you want it?
Yeah.
He said, we right here. Okay, hold on. He goes, drops it down, brings the pallet, leaves it right in front of the house and say, see.
So my arcade is outside. And I'm like, he's like, my job's done. Like I did the shipping, the plate, and that's it. So I said, oh no, that's not. So I got, you know, Big Cuzzo with me to hold me down and nobody running off with this. And then I had to call a mover. And then I had to pay a mover. And we got 3 of the brolic dudes to start bringing this thing up 4 flights.
It's crazy because his steps is narrow.
Oh, my mom's was I know we ravaged them steps. We scarred them steps up.
Oh, I can imagine.
This is an old brownstone. It was rough out there. Yeah, she to this day, she's like, when are you going to remove those machines? They're still up there. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I always make excuses. They ain't going nowhere.
The truck driver probably still tells that story.
He had to be laughing at me. My God, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. Absolutely.
But he thought, he was like, oh, these 2 big guys, they could take it.
I was stuck for a minute. But basically, I had like the ultimate setup. So again, two rooms, little side room. Then we even had the little outside. We could go on the roof. Right by the joint.
I'm surprised nobody fell off there.
We was wilding. But the cool thing about it was just the Saturday. Everyone looked forward to the Saturday. So whatever you had going on, you got drama, come through on a Saturday. We all going for a game. And that went on for a long time.
We lost a lot of relationships.
We lost a lot of relationships. You know what I'm saying? I definitely tested my mom, you know, with her patience, with a lot of stuff. But my argument was always, look, you don't like me when I'm wilding out, when I'm with King in the project, so you don't know where I'm at, right? You're always mad when it's late and where are you? I'm right here in this house and you know what I'm doing, right? So that was my fight back, and that's how I won her over to kind of calm down. Now we still had to be respectful, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, that was the sales pitch. And it was a fun time, and that went on for a long time, Saturdays.
Nice. That does sound like the ultimate setup. I mean, you actually have an arcade and every console.
2. We had what you call it. So I had Rolling Thunder, I had Shinobi, and then again, whatever the new consoles, either I had it, the one before, or King. King was the king of the import scene. That's how we learned about the import scene. So basically, you know, we didn't realize America would get the Super Nintendo a year later after it was already out in Japan. So what King would do is he would find, you know, the import distributors, whether it be in Chinatown in New York or Penguin Village or in Brooklyn Bazaar. So there were spots that we learned to go to where you could get the Japanese consoles at the same time of release in Japan, as well as the games. And this guy learning Japanese. Sometimes we're playing games and all there's no
Final Fantasy 3.
Oh yeah, because if you get the regional
localization,
copy.
there's no localization.
There's no localization.
So this man is literally tinkering and learning other languages to try to figure things out.
Remember that time my mom came in and thought I was speaking? She was on the phone talking to my grandmother, rest her soul. She said, yeah, DJ knows Japanese. And because I would be doing all my spells, my healing potions, everything on my characters in Final Fantasy. I finished Final Fantasy 3 from beginning to end in Japanese for the love of the import scene and the thirst of how great a game it was. So a lot of times people ask me, and I don't know what it translated to here. I think it was Final Fantasy 5 here, something, whatever. Okay. But that was the one with the job system. And I remember it holding a special place to me because that game took me probably a year to finish, but at the same time, it was in a completely foreign language, and I never gave up on the game. You know, I stood there through thick and thin in my Famicom playing that Final Fantasy because it intrigued me. We didn't have RPGs here to that level, and the systems was just amazing. What was going on was amazing. It had a save system. I had to find that out the hard way too. It was revolutionary to me. And then, you know, other stuff started happening like Phantasy Star on Sega, which was huge on the Genesis. And E's book 1 and 2 on TurboGrafx. When we first got that.
Massive.
Cog and I.
That was one of my favorite consoles you've ever bought.
What, this Turbo CD?
Super Nintendo would be number one, but I remember when you got Turbo CD because it was two distinct memories. People don't remember the original Street Fighter. Not Street Fighter 2, the one where it was
Fighting Streets.
Yeah, Fighting Street, and then you lose it. Like there's more people like you all over the world. And it had you gotta say at the time it had voice, and it was iconic. Like people don't realize that is the genesis of Street Fighter. Then it became again this monster thing.
When Ryu had red hair.
Right. And there was no version of it.
Yep.
And it was arcade perfect. And I went there and I was like, yo. Oh, yes. Bro, I was like, that's the arcade. That is literally, and he had the CD. It went on back nice. On TurboGrafx. I was blown away. He had ease. And you got to remember, this is the time of cinematic. This is the time of voice. Voice in games wasn't happening.
No.
So it was just like, yo, this is amazing. So yeah, I would say he had a lot of systems. Neo Geo was definitely huge because I was saying it was arcade. The Turbo CD. The Super Nintendo was huge because he had it before when it was Super Famicom, and I saw the jump from Genesis, and I really had to reevaluate how I was going to live my life and get that console at some point. You know what I'm saying? And then some of the fun that we had. The only one I finally caught up to him, not caught up to him, but I got at the same time. Normally he's always first. It was one system out proud. He was like, wow, you did that because there's like 1,000 now. It was Neo. I mean the 3DO. The 3DO was the only I saved up. We believed in it. And I'm like, yes. And it was Trip Hawkins. It was EA. They had a good launch line. We'll get into Trip Hawkins later. But they had a good launch lineup. And we were blown away by that console. Love that console. Arcade perfect.
Crash and
Burn. Total
Wing Commander.
Madden. Road Rash with the Soundgarden soundtrack.
Yes.
With the vocals.
Yeah.
The best Road Rash I've ever
played.
Need for Speed. You name it.
EA supported them heavy.
Yeah. That console was amazing. And it's a shame that it went out so fast. But yeah, we had to remember it lasted a long time through the console era at my house, and you know, everyone coming through for these games.
Isn't it funny how every time we got a new console or a new game came out, just as a fan of gaming, your mind was blown. You couldn't imagine how they were making things so realistic. Like I remember several times Metal Gear Solid 1, obviously was insane. I remember even Banjo and Kazooie. When Mario 64 came out, it was I could not believe that you could actually walk around through a 3D space. There are so many examples where I remember thinking, "There's no, it's not going to get better than this. There's no way. Like this is already magic. How are they making this? I can interact with something that looks so real." And then you go back and you look at like Tomb Raider 1, and you go back and you look at. I remember the first time I went into the cave, and then the T-Rex comes around. Like you felt like you were in Jurassic Park. You felt like you were there. And now you go back and look at it, and it's just blocks.
Tell a story. This dude here, we playing Tomb Raider. We got it on PlayStation. We playing Tomb Raider, and I'm talking to him on the phone. It's late night. It is late night. It's probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We on the phone. He goes, yo, because it's this first day we got it. So yo, because he was playing a little bit before me, and I get to the part. He's like, yo, tell me when you get to the part. I was like, yeah, I got to the part. He said, yo, I said, yeah, what? He said, what happened? I said, nothing. I'm picking up the thing off the shelf. So he goes, nah. Go back around. Yo, I go back around and a Bengal panther gets out. And he hear me scream, ah! He said, yeah, got you. All right, good night.
Because that point I got to it and it scared me. So I'm like, he's at the same board I'm at, and he didn't encounter that wild panther thing that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So I was mad. I was like, nah,
there's no way
back
you
in there.
saw it.
Yeah, I was like, he got to go back in. And then I had a lot of joy in his reaction to that. It was hilarious. We used to do foolishness like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, there were a lot of moments in that game like that. I remember the bear, all those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember purchasing, because I was telling my son, he's on the kick of playing a lot of retro games and playing the same game for multiple consoles. I'm like, why are you doing that? And then I thought about it. I said, wait a second, I can't question you. You're my kid. I brought Street Fighter for Super Nintendo, for Genesis, for TurboGrafx and CD, for whatchamacallit, for 3DO. So, and I would purchase these games just to look and see what's different to talk about.
Yes.
With Cog. So me and Cog was doing a mini podcast. I was
the original Digital Foundry.
Digital Foundry.
Because what he would do, I just thought about it now. I remember games like what was that? It was a game called Aero Blasters that was like one of the few games that was both on Saturn and PlayStation. And King was the type. He's like, I want to see. Okay, they do 3D better, but no, Saturn's 2D is better. And like we would see the difference because he would have both versions. He would purposely do this and compare and break. He was Digital Foundry low key before,
and we found out what S-Video was compared to composite. Why we had to upgrade our televisions. Why the audio was so important when we had the audio in and audio out. What's that audio that we no longer use no more?
Oh, the digital out.
Yeah, the digital out, the digital audio out,
the digital 5.1 out.
Yeah, that audio is probably the most accurate that you're going to get, right? Not the distorted stuff that we get now. Everybody thinks that they're getting some supreme sound. You're getting degradation. But the audio out, the digital audio out with that little red beam that can blind you. Best sound that you can get.
The optical,
optical out.
Optical
out. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. They got rid of it. I'm sure they have the numbers of how many people are actually using it. I'm sure
he was like, nobody's using it. Shut up.
I was like,
yeah. I'm sure a lot of people didn't even understand what it was. I only knew what it was because I had a friend at the time that was an audio engineer, and he was like, "Don't use anything but that."
Yes.
Yeah.
I found out because I brought that it was Sovereign. I got to give Sovereign his flowers. He's audio and video file, huge. He's tremendously impacted how we purchase TVs, how we purchase surround sound, how we purchase speakers. So when I purchased an Onkyo system, and he said, "Okay, so what you want to do? You want to run this to all your consoles?" And when I did, the sound quality was tremendous, completely different, night and day.
Yeah. You mentioned with your setup and all the getting together every weekend, you talked about Halo, and for a second I was like, oh no, I don't want to jump that far ahead, and then I realized that was almost 23 years ago. So that's really not that close. But it was at the time where Xbox was out. And when did you, and I know there were I had Danny on a couple episodes ago, and he was talking about how his origin story with podcasts, and it all kind of like technology and video games, all like podcasting, the speeds on the internet fast enough to start actually posting things, all that kind of came together around the same time, around early 2000s. Where did you guys decide to take all this love that you guys have had, organizing all these play dates and just always focusing on the new technology, all the consoles, having the best setups, knowing about all the new tech? When did you, like, where did the idea come from to start getting together and talking about it?
So pretty much what ends up happening, obviously we get older, most of us move apart for a bit, the cool thing is obviously, the advent of Xbox Live kept us somewhat together, right? So Xbox Live comes out and it's like, all right, we could still game for a bit and kind of replicate it a little bit, but obviously we grow apart a little bit. So what happens is, we all have our Xbox Live friends, and we had a mutual friend, I believe at the time was Anchorman. And then I remember he would come in the party with this real rambunctious kid. And I was just like, who is this kid? His name was Room to Kill. That was his name. And we were just like, all right, we like him, but he rambunctious as hell. And he's very opinionated, right? So, I started getting real close. I think me and him, our friendship started off a bet. Because he was like, that was when I was in like super Destiny defense mode. If anybody didn't hate like Destiny, I would always kind of like counter them or whatever. And he was an Assassin's Creed kid, and we were like, okay, I'll buy you Destiny, and if you don't like it, or so, it was some weird bet we made with each other's games,
trying to convince each other to love what you love.
And then he ended up loving Destiny, and then we would play all the time. So during that time, me and Attic became really close, and he would always say, oh, because what it is, they would love being in our Xbox Live game chats with King, myself, and others. So he pretty much was like, we should do a podcast. We should do a podcast. But me being older, I didn't see like, okay, who really listening to that? Why anyone, going to listen to some older dudes talking? Like, I didn't get it. I'm just wasn't savvy to what's going on in this era. So then initially it started like, okay, well, we like Destiny. He kept pressuring me. And I was like, well, if we do it, you're going to host. And it was like a Destiny podcast. So we did it for like a few episodes. And it was okay. It was whatever. But then I started to get the feel of like you just talking about games. And then what people would say is, hey, like you guys, but we don't like Destiny. And we like when you guys talk about other things like Xbox and whatever. So then we tried it, and it was like ILG or something for Iron Lords Gaming, whatever. And remember, this is around the time Destiny's Rise of Iron DLC came out. So everything was like Lord. Also, this is the time of Game of Thrones is out. So it was a thing, right? So the Lord thing was kind of built off that. I got to give Attic credit for that, because to this day he got the receipt. He was like, no, see, I had said maybe we should name it that. So if you ever took it to us to court, he would win. I thought I came up with the name. He's like, nah, he's like, remember Rise of Iron DLC came out. He was thinking we should name it after that. So anyway, long story short, now we fast forward. So we had two other guys, but schedule wise, they just wasn't consistent. And we kind of had to say, look, if we're going to do this, we need consistency. So then it started off where I reached out to Saul first, right? I was like, how about you be a guest on the podcast? So he comes on, I introduce Saul, he has a good time. And I'm like, all right. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, so I was like, nah, we gotta get the homie. We gotta get the big dog. We gotta go for it. So then I go call K. I'm like, yo, I want you to do our podcast. So he's like, yeah, absolutely. So we have him on. I introduce him. And the minute he came on, it was magic with all four of us.
Nice.
Because it was just like the Xbox Live Party chats. It's just like the Channel 5 days of being back in the house. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, yes, this is it. So yeah, and then from there, we just said, let's do it. You guys, want to do it? And they were like, hell yeah. And then I remember the discussion on which day, because our schedules are so crazy. And we were like, Sunday. Actually, Sunday was the only day that legit worked. So then we played on it. Sunday's the Lord's day. Sunday's the Lord's
right.
day.
You already had
that's
it.
how we gonna flip it, right? And then that evolved, and yeah, man, it started to. Now in the beginning, it was slow. Me and King were a little mad at people who.
Before he goes too far,
you go ahead, King. I've been talking a lot. You go ahead.
And I was quiet only because I asked my wife to bring me something to drink.
Yes, please. No, you
so, all right, so during this period of time, this is before the podcast even started. Now that stuff is happening in the background separately because everybody's trying to figure out how does Attic fit, right? How does Attic fit? Separately from me and Cog, not unbeknownst to me, I meet Room to Kill playing in some Destiny stuff regularly. And me and this kid is playing all the time. Now, if anybody knows me, if I really like you and we cool, I'm super protective of you, 100%, right? So it was this guy that was always bothering him, being super belligerent to him.
Remember that?
And I just had enough. I made a couple of threats that I'm not proud of, and I may have called a couple of people, and people sent me his address and did all type of stuff. But I didn't pull the trigger. Pause. But me and Attic was really, really cool. Because our gaming schedules are different. Cog and our gaming schedules are completely different. So if I'm playing in the daytime, Cog is either at work or sleep, right? And I'm not playing at night because either I'm at work or sleep. So it flipped that way. Also, Cog and I work life drifted apart to an extent, and me and him was talking, and he was at a fan fest. Now, him being at fan fest, I have to explain to you how gut-wrenching it is to know that somebody I care so much about is so far away from me, and if something happens, I can't protect them. Right? I cannot be there. Now, you also got to remember at this period of time, Tupac, Biggie died, LA, all I know from California is violence and gangs. Right? And he's out there. I see him on my Xbox, and I text him, I said, that'll never happen again. You'll never go that far away without me being there. Right. So that's how that dialogue happened, and it never happened again. Except for the last time he went to LA, but he went with Attic, so Attic is big as me. So no problem. And Cog is beefy Cog now. So not saying that he can't, protect himself, but it's just, protective thing. Just weird with me because I'm the only boy, right? So it's just, me and him bond in that way. So he doing a podcast thing, and shout out to Zero and
Sleep. So Zero Sleep
and Sleep that was doing
the original members before.
Life was happening. They were, work and girlfriend or wife or whatever stuff was happening.
Yeah,
and they were doing a podcast, and it wasn't really hitting. It was Cog is always going to be Cog. Attic is always going to be Attic. But there's also some fuel and fire that you have to put between the two to also ignite them to get to that space. So when Solve jumps in, Solve is always going to be even kill Solve, And I'm going to be that additive, that little fire, that little spark, that little something that's going to either ignite Attic or, get Cog to say, wait a second here. You
we all
can't
know.
believe that, right? Are you implying, those type of things? And it was just from that moment it happened. Now, in the background, I'm always trying to visualize something, always trying to make something into something that you won't forget. If this is your first time seeing this podcast, I want to make sure that there's something that you saw that said, wow, man, I was looking and this guy had like some weird statue or his background was crazy. How the hell did he match his colors with his room or something nuts, something nuts.
Yeah.
Or he got so angry he took his glasses off, something of that nature. I said, we got to be on camera.
Yeah.
So we could do this, but we got to be on camera. They're like, hell no. I don't need the world knowing who I am so they can find me where I'm at. And it was so resistant. I'm like, please, guys, please. For us to do this, it has to work this way. And they believe, because like from the beginning, I already knew what something could be because it's a level of respect between the four.
Right.
So when you hear us talk, it's a talk of reverence. We could be disagreeing, but it's a talk of reverence between it. So Attic knew that Cog through me, I mean through his meetings. I knew Attic through my meetings, and that's how Attic is organic to the group, right? And then he met Solve through us, and we integrated.
The more important thing is after that E3 Fan Fest in 2015, where I went by myself, in 2016 and the subsequent ones, I was telling, I was like, look, bro, we got to get you out of West Virginia. You have to come outside. You have to break your comfort zone. You have to come out to an event. And I was like, it's going to change your life going to, because his thing's like, I'm only going if I go to the Microsoft press conference. That's my dream. That's why I said, we are getting you into that press conference. And it happened. Magically, it happened. We got everything to work. And then it became a tradition, to go out there every E3 or go to events, stuff like that, and really hang out and do stuff together as a group. But that was kind of like the genesis of that.
At what point so you all formed this group? You knew you had a good dynamic, which is very clear to see. Exactly, it goes to exactly what you were saying. When even if you're disagreeing, you can feel there's love. You could feel that everybody cares. It's a nice place for everybody gets along. Everybody cares about each other. At what point did you start? When did it start to transition? Did it come to a point where either you kind of felt like this isn't picking up steam, or was there a time where you thought, like, what are we doing? Or did it just kind of start picking up?
Yeah,
as
it was tough in the beginning. I remember, getting people to support and listen, and the people who would claim they're your friends and they're not showing up, and we had to check a few folks behind the scenes that they say, these are people we know in real life, and we're like, bro, you didn't even listen to the podcast, so that kind of thing. So there was family, friends. There was a frustration. So then we got selfish. We kind of like, you know what? We believe in us and we love what we're doing, and we're gonna push this thing forward. So I think what happened is we started networking a little bit, and rest in peace Kal-El for a little bit. He had a network called Tick for a little bit. I just said, look, we just need a little bit more exposure because people don't really know us yet. But I know this was our motto. No one's listening, but I said, if anyone gives us a chance and just listens, this is going to be the best podcast you've ever heard. I'm telling you, it was one that we was on that energy because we believed so much. What we had was good. It just, we had to get the word out, right? So we networked with them for a little bit, and that did help. It did help for a little bit. We got a little exposure. We got a little, media credential and all of that stuff. And then we kind of end up being the biggest thing on that platform. And then we're like, okay, we got to kind of renegotiate now because you know we're
Yo,
actually.
he is so nice. I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him
Rest
to
in
the
peace,
point.
Cal.
See, he knows what to do. He knows what to preface me to hold me back. He knows me.
Being diplomatic.
Yeah, he is. Oh my God, you guys don't know how great this guy is. Because at no time did I ever believe on going to Tick.
Yeah,
no time, not one time.
Can't believe it. But
and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah, please, go.
I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, rest in peace, Kyle. Great. He's a great person, regardless to what. He established a platform and he was doing his thing, regardless to what. Yes. Not taking nothing away from that.
And he was one of the first that had Phil Spencer before anyone.
Oh yeah.
But
when Phil
just
said,
got the job, he was the first interview of Phil Spencer on his platform. Cal was on fire, man.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely. Anyway, how I saw us is, regardless to what, we're going to get to where we need to get to. And this is the reason why I didn't believe in the Tick strategy. They never viewed themselves as number one. They never viewed themselves as we belong. The moment we stepped foot in California, I had a Corvette. I had a trunk full of T-shirts. I drove to Compton. I drove to Long Beach. I drove to the Slauson Swap Meet by myself. Gave out T-shirts in every hood. Came back, gave T-shirts and cards out to everybody in line because we belong.
Right.
This is where we belong. This is what we said we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do. Okay. COG got media that year. Right. I didn't have media that year. COG is walking past the media room and sees me sitting inside the media room with Monkey.
Shout out to Monkey.
How the hell did you get in here? We belong. Gave out T-shirts to everybody in line over at EA Play. Walked to the front of the line. We belong. When I had saw Cal and them standing online, rest his soul, at Bethesda, I said, why are you standing in line? Why are you back here? I said, all the media and everybody is just walking in the front. He said, oh, no, we're going to stand in line. I said, man, if you don't come on, and walk to the front, and we walked inside and sat down. If you do not belong, if you do not put yourself in places to win, you're always going to be looked past and looked over.
Yeah.
And I believed in the product to the point that it was blinding. I told COG, we're going to be at this spot, and come hell or high water, I know I believe in this guy, I believe in this guy, I believe in this guy, and I believe in myself. And I know we're going to get to this spot. I didn't believe that he believed.
Not to the extent you did.
Nobody going to believe to my
not to the extent you did in the beginning.
I'm disillusional half the time in a lot of stuff.
That's what it takes sometimes.
Yeah, but you got to have that. Andrew Tate shown me that you must hypnotize yourself to believe in the impossible. So when a circumstance happens, you don't flinch in that moment because you believe undeniably in that moment, right? So I believed undeniably in that moment. And if I feel that you don't have that same energy to feel that way, I told COG, we can do it by ourselves. Right. But at the same time, COG is the leader. So if he says, no, let's just see this out, I have to hold back and reserve and respect his vision too, right? So that's where that was. And yes, they gave us the platform, but I just felt that we would get there. It'd probably take a little bit longer, but COG was right. And I just had to tell him he was right. In all that long list, he was right.
It was just, like I said, it was just a short little roadblock in the beginning. And I knew for us to be taken serious, if we had media credentials, if we had access, once people see us, once we interview developers, once we go to shows, once we have the access, you're going to love us. I know you're going to love us, right? So then once we got to that point, then I started to side with King. I'm like, okay, we have outgrown this relationship. We are now the centerpiece, right? We can do this on our own. And I have enough knowledge now from the experience, to be able to create our own. And thus ILP continues to grow. We go back to our channel on. We kind of rebuilt and then lordsgaming.net forums, and we've got that was the combo, right? And it becomes a two-arm kind of thing with the podcast personalities and then the media side of it. And then from that point on, and I would say in conjunction with Addicts Networking, as far as getting guests,
that guy's a beast.
In conjunction with my networking in the flesh and getting executives. And every time they came on the platform or a developer, they had a fantastic time. And another thing I fought for in the beginning, King fought for the cameras, King fought for really the shirts, the branding, because everywhere we would go, people were like, "Are you guys an esports team? These are so cool. What is this?" Right? So his marketing plan worked. My thing was, which was hard because the Lords can be loose. ILP After Dark on Xbox Live is not the same ILP you're going to get on Sunday on the Lord's Day. So I remember in the beginning, I'm like, yo, we gotta cut down on the cursing, you know what I mean? Because what executives would tell me is like, yo, we love you guys. And I like the ability to listen to you guys while I have my kids in the car. I don't have to turn anything down, you know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So that was the big fight. They were like, oh, I don't know, Carl, I don't know. And I'm like, look, man, I'm telling you. And that definitely worked for us. So yeah, once all those things happened, then we went back on our own. Then it really started to shoot up and take off.
I forgot that we had to start over from zero.
Yeah, we started back from zero.
Yeah, that conversation was kind of hard because remember we built up something and then we left that to go with the network and
on
then
another network.
The network, and the network could tell you whatever numbers they want to tell you, right? You have to have the belief in yourself, and it takes a huge step in saying, okay, we felt that we outgrown this to start again from zero.
From zero, we restarted from zero again. Yeah.
But the followers, and I hate calling them followers. It's like,
I know. Yeah.
It's just weird because it's just weird. Anyway, those shout out to Philly Eagle fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Those people that was with us from whatever numbers we had then to the numbers that we had to take to zero and start building that up, those are tremendous people.
Yes.
Right. Because you have people that tell you, oh, I remember when y'all came over from taking, y'all was doing this. And you know, you don't, sometimes it could be your favorite network. That could be your favorite network. You don't know, oh, they must be the bad ones. Something must have happened. You know, and it wasn't nothing like that.
Right.
You know, it's just not a situation where we wanted to be part of. It's just a marriage, and
it's an amicable split.
Yeah, and you just got to see, like, okay, no, it is cool type of thing. So people had some trepidation in the beginning, but they came over to listen, just to hear, just to see. Oh, they the same Lords? Did something happen? Whatever. But I'm super appreciative because not every podcast gets a restart.
Facts.
Right. To do that restart 3 times. I mean, well, a start 3 times. You started the first time, go to start again, then to start again. That's crazy. And then shout out to Dizzy.
Yeah.
If somebody believed more than myself, it was Dizzy.
He said, "You guys are huge. I think this is special." And he had a website at the time, and then me and him collaborated, and that's how we formed Lords again. But he used to put our content on his site, which was a prominent site at the time.
Yeah,
it really helped.
So your podcast grew to where it is now, where everyone in the community knows who you are. You are, for anyone that doesn't know, you do have big guests on. You just had some pretty big execs on. Everybody any time I've ever talked to anybody about you guys, you have a very solid reputation. Everybody likes you guys. Everybody likes what you're doing. You're driven. I've talked to Danny and Paris. I've had both of them on, and we went through their stories. When I was talking to them, it came up with both of them that you play a positive, important role in representation, in Black representation. Is that, if it's not something you want to get into, we don't have to, but is that something is it a conscious thing that you think about? Is it? I can imagine that it's important to you, but do you know that the effect that you have?
I'll speak on my part. I'll let King answer for him. Speaking for himself. For me, I look at it as obviously there's not a lot of us in the space, right?
Yeah.
I think what's dope about us is that we kind of like got the whole spectrum in a way, if you think about it, right?
Yes.
Obviously
Dark skin,
being
light skin,
two black.
Spanish, and white.
We got light skin delegation, dark skin delegation. We got the Hispanic, and then we also got the Caucasian. So I think it's dope. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we're all that, and we're legit friends. I think the only thing probably missing is an Asian member at this point, to be honest.
Yang is a honorary member.
It's funny, but no, I mean it's important. It's important. I think that one thing me and King talk about is, and he says this a lot, is he's like, yo, you don't realize, like, we set the trends for a lot, and a lot of people look to us to see what we're gonna do, and a lot of times they follow, and it comes from that respect from the community. It comes from sometimes taking risks and doing things that are different, that are outside the box, and then people see that and they go, okay, this is cool. But I think for me, as far as a black man, being able, here's the thing that people don't realize about me. I love the podcast. The podcast is great, right? But King knows, like, my freestyle in front and talking to a developer live on this, that's actually my number one passion. Like, to me, I look at it as if I'm going to a album that's not released yet.
Okay.
Right. And you're going to tell me about your new project.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. And to me, that passion that resonates from a developer, to the point where me and King would be like, oh, that person loves his game, we're going to give him a shirt. We started that. So like, for me, that means a lot to me because, again, outside of like a hip hop gamer, there's not a lot of us in the space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of black faces in the space that are actually in leadership positions or, doing things with top people. So I think it is important. I think it's very important. So because people come out and they go, yo, we could do that. We could do that too.
Yeah. That is very important.
We could do that, right? It's important so people can see that. And let's be honest, we well-spoken and we handsome. You know what I'm saying? Like we look good, so it's like, hey, like
it doesn't hurt.
It don't hurt, man. And it shows like, like, don't limit yourself. We can be more, and I think it's refreshing because it's a nice change of pace. But I'll let Kid, because I never really got his answer on this. I never really spoke to him deep about the representation part for how he feels about it.
Well, single parent household again. It's I most likely resonate with a lot more of the kids growing up with thought of being dead at the age of 25.
Yeah.
I thought I wouldn't get past 25.
Right.
I was living, life is crazy as you start to think about it. And then you have kids. Then you make it past 25, right? And say, what now? Right? What now? Right? Okay. So what do you want to be known as? What do you want your legacy to be? You start looking over at these kids, and these kids are looking back at you, and you have the work ethic, you have the drive. You probably didn't have the opportunities growing up, but that's no excuse because you see people coming from drug infested homes, and my home wasn't a drug infested home, but they still become the best and brightest in the world, right? So the only barriers that's holding you back is yourself. But sometimes people need to see representations of their self and individuals that can get them to places where they normally won't think they can achieve, right? So there's a reason why it's the rope chain on my neck and the jewelry on, because I'm going to identify or be seen by a certain demographic.
Yes.
And that demographic is my core. I posted a picture the other day that said, I'm good in any hood. The vibe is always great. I resonate with individuals that is, they said Jesus walked amongst the people, right? I'm not saying I'm Jesus. No, nothing close to that. But what I'm saying is to be of the people, you have to be from the people, and you have to resonate with the people to talk to the people, right? So that's where my whole base is. And to the reason why we don't curse, the reason why we try to be upstanding. Every time I'm on the podcast, I'm leaving a digital footprint for my children to look and see.
Yes.
I work a lot. I've worked a lot. So that means I probably wasn't home enough, right? Or I probably didn't have a lot of conversations that needed to be had. So, yeah, you can look and say, oh, yeah, my dad was funny. Oh, my dad did this. Or, oh, I was able to achieve this. So
these are his passions. Yeah.
A lot of my feelings is to, yes, show positive representation to everybody around, to show that you can do podcasting in the proper way, to get your paperwork in order, to make sure that you're an LLC.
Facts.
So at the end of the year, you're not looking back and saying, oh man, I did this and I'm in so much tax trouble, I can't do this no more because I got X amount of dollars and now I owe X amount of dollars because I didn't do this. Put your ducks in a row. There's a reason why we say Iron Lords Podcast LLC. It's a reason why we take whatever's given to us and we put it directly back into the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, this stuff was here before the podcast, so I don't want anybody to think, oh no, you send me a super chat, I'm going to go buy a statue. That's not that. It's the integrity and how you want to be known, how you want to be seen. I don't care what color the kid is.
Yeah.
I want the kid to look up and say, I want to be able to do that. Now, Cog's superpower, he thrives off of standing in front of people and having a conversation. It's funny to see him doing it because I smile. I don't know if he ever looks over at me with the camera, because usually I'm curating some new interviewer, like, you know, solving, you know, we did it together, and then somebody else, me and Macho, excuse me, or training people up to learn how to give proper interviews. So when we do get a chance to see, I just sit back, I just set the scene and let him do.
Yeah.
My superpower is the marketing aspect of anything that's there.
Okay.
Like the visualization of, I can look at something was wrong and I can reverse engineer it to make it right, or I can come up with something that's really good. Or my thing is boosting the brand and pushing the brand to make that moment. My thing is always making a moment. You got to have a moment in order to be known and recognized and seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I try to bring most to the podcast, that those moments where you say, oh, that guy is crazy.
Yeah.
But it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
It was a visual moment.
So. You had a good time.
Yeah.
Fun.
It's not coincidence. It's a conscious effort. Everything that you're trying to do. And I mean, it's clear to see a lot of what when you describe how you're trying to be perceived, it reminds me of when Michael Jordan, he used to always wear suits, whether they were just going from the bus to like 10 feet into the stadium, he would always wear a suit. And everybody else would wear sweatpants or their warm-up clothes or whatever it was. And somebody asked him, why do you always wear a suit? And he said, for even that little amount of space, somebody is going to see me, and that is going to be the first time that they see me. So every single moment is it's somebody's first time seeing you, and it's going to have an effect on them. It's going to have an impression. So that just reminded me of what you've been saying, because you may, sometimes people may think it's like just a coincidence that there's this character on the show, but it's very clear to see that it's a conscious effort, and everything you're trying to do is thought out. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. A lot of thought and stuff. And the main thing is having fun. People don't have fun no more.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying.
You
gotta laugh. You gotta laugh with yourself sometimes. You got, that's the thing. And also, people don't know how to make content without being disrespectful. And to me,
right.
to me, we laugh because it's like, your content is feeding off of others, that means you can't stand on your own. That means you can't create and make someone come to you just for you. Right. And to me, there's a ceiling with that. You know what I'm saying? So we always try to show that, yo, you ain't got to do that when you come over here. And even when, you know, people try to come at us, that's the new thing now. Like, you try to come at us, try to attach yourself to somebody that's bigger than you, be disrespectful, so you can have this back and forth. It's just cloud chasing. So what thing. So we know the games that people play, kind of thing. And you know
what I say is, when you're not credible, you attach yourself to somebody that is, to take that credibility.
Exactly. So we know the games, all the games that people play.
Yeah, I mean, because unfortunately that does sometimes work. It gets somebody
keep
attention,
taking the bait. Yeah,
but it's temporary. I mean, you guys are going to continue what you're doing for years and years, and somebody that tries to do something like that, everybody will see through it. Well, most people will see through it.
Exactly.
I had a couple other questions I wanted to go over with you guys, but you just, through explaining your history, you kind of went over them. I was talking to Tim and Sean really wanted to be on, but we kind of did this last minute. We just talked about it a couple of days ago. We finally had a window that we could jump on. I know you guys have really busy schedules. The first thing I asked Tim and Sean what if they had any questions I should ask you guys. Tim, the first thing Tim said was to ask you about Destiny and about how it inspired how it influenced.
I got a fun Tim story.
But yeah, he wanted to be here, and I just wanted to pass along. I know you briefly went over your history with Destiny, but he wanted me to ask that question, so I wanted to pass it along.
Shout out to Tim, because I have so much respect for him. 2 reasons. One, you know, my first time out there, that first year, you know, I was out there at FanFest, E3 2015. You know, at the time, I didn't know anything about the process. So the process was like, hey, go stand in some like Beverly Hills mall and like stay there and sleep overnight like you're sleeping for Jordans with a bunch of people. I have no idea who they are. And I had to believe this, right? I'm just like, all right, because I heard about my goal was I want to be there when Phil Spencer comes on the stage, the Microsoft press. My dream is press conference. That's all I cared about. Anything else after that is cherry on the top. So I was like, is this the path to do it? They were like, yes. And at that time, I saw Wagaman.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Megatron was, but at the time, I remember seeing him. And it was Tim Dog. So I kind of stood in the pocket around them. And I was like, all right, these guys look like an Xbox.
I see some faces.
I see some faces. I didn't know what it was, but they were very cool and nice to me. Yeah. So then at the time, shout out to my man, Ant the Ruler. You know, he was there, and we call it our ILP West Coast guys, who they were like, you came all the way from New York, cuz? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, it was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, you ain't know nothing about this. I'm like, yeah, man. This was like, it was like a pilgrimage, like a religious pilgrimage. I have to go to one of these, right? So then, yeah, he was cool, because I remember what Tim was like, I'm telling you. He was like, not only are you getting FanFest card, you're going to get to go to E3 on top of that. So I didn't believe him. And I remember I still have pictures of us in this thing. So the executive, we spend the night literally on the floor, thousands of people in this damn mall. They lock us in. And then the morning comes, and you start to hear people talking, and you see Greenwald from Turn 10. You start to see, at the time, Bill Stillwell. I didn't know who he was. And Aaron Greenberg comes in, Phil Spencer comes in, and it's like this group of executives all coming in, and they're just like, look, guys, you are our most loyal fans. We're gonna reward you, you know. And then I think they gave us like a little care package, like State of Decay had food in it. It was like, you know, they fed us, because obviously whatever. But then we got our little FanFest swag, and then they put us into like a bus into like the USC campus something. And at that time, that's when Phil comes out. You guys, you know, appreciate you. You're a law fans. You're gonna go to the Microsoft press conference after this amazing breakfast they gave us, and they were like, it was almost like The Price is Right, and everyone's going.
Right. Check under your sleeping bag.
So I'm right next to Tim, and I'm like hugging and squeezing Tim. He's like, I told you, bro. So we like, it was. I have that recorded. I still have that recorded. It was. I have to find it, but it was a magic moment. So Tim gets shout out for that. And then the second thing is, when we started ILP, because back then ILP didn't exist. We hadn't started the podcast. But like this, after the second or third, that's when we started the podcast. And he was actually our first guest.
Okay.
Because we were like Iron Lords Gaming or whatever. And then at the time, it was like, how do you... No, we were still Destiny focused at the time. We was like, we call it like the intervention series. Like, why aren't you playing Destiny? You know, what can we do to make you play Destiny? And so I have that episode. I mean, Addict deleted all of but we still have evidence of it up on SoundCloud. SoundCloud, if you want to know about the Lord's history, SoundCloud will snitch all our old episodes. We used to put everything up on SoundCloud. So yeah, it was called ILG #1. It was the Iron Lord Intervention series. We would try to get people who don't play Destiny to play it. And then that's when we had Tim Dog on. He was our first guest.
That's really cool. Yeah, I try to tell people all the time how positive he is for people. He's always trying to help people out. He's helped a lot of people in the community start their shows.
A lot.
And he's pretty selfless. I know I sometimes people, all they see is some of the stuff that he gets into, some of the conversations defending Xbox and everything, but he's a solid person.
Yeah,
he's a really good person.
Yeah. We've hung out with him so many times in real life. Tim's a stand-up dude. He's just passionate. He's like King. Like he wears his green on his sleeve. He don't care. Like, but
that's why me and him rock.
Yeah, who you really are. Yeah. We're over an hour, and I asked you guys only for an hour of your time. I know you got a lot of stuff to do, so I just kind of briefly want to go over if we can kind of catch up for anybody that doesn't know. Do you want to briefly talk about the Hold the Line thing and then how it bled into FanFest and then
King is the man. This is King's segment.
Nah, it was just sick and tired of people talking crap. It was just, it was just literally, I had no idea about what I was gonna do or whatever. Had a vague idea of what I was gonna say. It was just people in my DMs, and my mother always told me you don't got to make noise to leave. Right? Because then if you're making noise to leave, then you don't really want to go.
Facts.
All right. You don't have to. You just leave.
Love that.
Right? Just go.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just hearing all this noise. I mean, I'm selling my Xbox. Nobody asked you. Just go sell it. like why are you telling me? Why is this on my timeline? So it's that mustard heart stuff that frustrated me. Like, dude, if you're not built for the war, just don't be here.
Yeah.
Right. And like I'm built for the fight. Like whatever the fight is, I'm built for the fight. Win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna take my scraps and it's gonna be whatever it is, and it is what it is. But I've just noticed a lot of people either want attention or they want you to beg them to stay.
Right. Yes.
I don't beg anybody to stay anywhere. If I have to beg you to stay, that means that you never wanted to be there. So go on and get out of here. Go to where you want to be. Right. And my thing is, don't come back when it's rocking. Like, don't come back when the church birds is singing. Don't come back here, man. Just go back, be doing what you're doing, but we're gonna be rocking. So all those people that sold their Xboxes, look at you now. Look at you now. You right back. You didn't hold the line, but you had to run out, go buy Xbox, go get Game Pass, go get Starfield. You had to do all that. You probably got what's that? To watch the constellation. You probably just did the most, and then you probably posted on your joke, I'm back, y'all. Nobody knew you left. Nobody cared that you left. Like, you left. Why? So when I did that, and I did the Hold the Line thing, and if anybody ever watches it, and this is for people that keep asking me to do different skits on different shows, if you can find the first day I did a skit on somebody else's show, then I'll do it on yours. Don't do that. All right. That's me hanging out with my friends, letting me my head down and having a good time. So that thing went to wherever it was going to go.
Yep.
And I happen to work very well with Graphic God. Me and Graphic God, it's kind of crazy. We're like the Wonder Twins. And we just put our hands together and we just activate, because it's usually what he sees in my mind. And I don't know how the hell he does it, because there's so many times that we have collaborated on things and we'll have a meeting and we'll talk. He sees exactly what I have in my mind, and he goes, is it this? And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God.
Right.
That's literally what I saw. And it's just being simpatico with that individual. Now, I have a lot of people in the industry that I work with. Ben, you're definitely one of them, 100%.
Absolutely.
Little man,
Sean,
you know that.
Panero as well.
But me and this guy have a little special connection. So he came up with this
yeah.
thing, and then he was like, I hear something in the background. I said, hold on. Because he was doing it. I said, do you hear this? And I put the drum marching beats. And he's like, yes. Send me that now. Send me that now. Send me that right now. I send it over to him. And, you know, he got that stuff done. And we went to shirts with it. And okay, so more than whatever it did for ILP, more than that, what it did to Microsoft.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, you got to remember, Redfall happened. The interview with Phil
and the CMA block
happened. The CMA blocking. It's like, damn, right? It's like I can't win for losing. I keep trying. It's that kid that keeps trying, and I'm putting my best efforts in, and nobody's noticing me. Nobody's, you know. And so you can understand that the morale at Microsoft could have been weak or wavering,
right?
And my whole thing was for anybody that felt that they were going to quit, step out of the way. I don't want to do it. Hold on line. If you're not strong enough, I'll stand there for you. If you can't take the weight, or if somebody's bothering you in tweets, send the tweets to me. I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Together we're gonna get past this. Because, and I just had to ground them to let them know, you didn't care about Redfall until they made you care about Redfall.
Right.
Redfall could have just been some AA game that they were just throwing out to the public, but they took it as the gospel, as the next is coming. I said, no, the real second coming is Starfield.
Yes.
Hold on. It's gonna get there. And for anybody that sat there and held on, aren't you happy you listened?
Yeah.
It was a moment. It was a moment because again, you know, the morale was extremely low for a lot of Xbox fans after that double whammy, so to speak.
Yep.
And then, you know, there were a lot of people jumping ship. People were like, you know, fire, I'm done. Like it just broke a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, I'm getting rid of my Xbox, or fire Phil and fire this one.
Oh, I know.
And we were like, no, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And we still anticipate Xbox having a fantastic year, which, as you see, it is now, you know, it's funny. People didn't remember what happened. Redfall was like a thing. And I think it also started
not
with,
done.
Right. And I think there was also the fear, because you had the double whammy of Redfall, but also it was the fear of the PlayStation Showcase coming right after.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were like, oh no, they're gonna have a monster show and evaporate. So it was a lot of people who were scared coming into it. And so I think when he does that, it resonated in with the Xbox fan who looked at the whole perspective. It was like,
yeah,
they'll be fine. And it resonated with Microsoft executives and leadership, because that's how they were feeling. They were just like, you know, like, hey, like we've turned this thing around overall on this series platform. You know, stick with us, hang with us. And, you know, obviously the ultimate respect, which you seen, was, you know, seeing Greeny, you know, with the Hold the Line shirt, you know, right before the Xbox showcase.
Their biggest, right at this moment. That this is yeah. I mean, the Hold the Line. I mean, it was lightning in a bottle. Because they knew on their end everything that's coming, and it just kind of felt like in the public what was being seen was just like, oh, when is this uptick ever gonna happen? Like it just keeps going. We keep thinking, but they bought Bethesda, you know. ABK got announced. It's all these potential big things, but then in reality, they just keep taking hits. So it just kind of all happened at the perfect moment.
Time. It's the perfect storm.
Like right before FanFest, where they had their showcase that they were just probably dying to show everybody. Like just
in their mind, they were sitting on. They knew they had stuff, and people were like ready to jump ship too early. So that's why, like you said, it was the perfect slogan at the perfect time. From the
PlayStation Showcase was coming.
Right. That's what I told them. People with the muster hearts like, oh God, we're gonna get
you know they're gonna show Ghost of Tsushima 12 and you know they're gonna show Spider-Man 5 and they're gonna have Wolverine and
big Hold the Line so so much fearlessness ahead of something that a lot of people were scared of.
Yeah.
And then they kind of fumbled, right?
Yeah.
So then that continues to hold the line. Then the Xbox showcase happens, which was amazing that we went to, right?
Yeah.
And we go, and then the questions was like, well, what is Starfield? And Starfield blows everyone away at that direct. So now hold the line is at all time high.
It's validated.
It's validated now. You stood loyal. And now you're reaping the benefits for your loyalty and rocking with my man. Because my man told you, hey, if you scared, I got you. We gonna be all right.
Yes.
The funniest part was it was dudes was in my DM right before the PlayStation showcase. King. What are you gonna do? Like, because it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
I said, I guarantee on everything I love is gonna be trash. I said, he said, there's no way it's gonna be trash. All they gotta do is show. I said, they won't. You've never seen a fall from grace like this. Watch. And I mean, I still got the receipts in DM. I just don't out the person. But after the show, he said, please send me the lotto numbers.
That's funny.
Just fun stuff.
This is and then that led to, I wanted to be able to give to the community a way for us to all have something in our collections that would just commemorate this moment, because we all know that everything else well, not everything else, but the things that have been announced with Indiana Jones and Fable and what the next couple years are going to look like. And so it really feels like over the last couple months, there's been a huge pivot to a new era. Yes. And so that's why I wanted to make the coins and give them out to everybody, just as kind of a collectible for the community, just to hold and remember that's when it all happened. So we told people that we would give away 30 of them. I'm going to throw them up on the screen so people will be able to see who they are. And then I'll throw in an email, send me your information, and I'll make sure you get one as soon as possible. I'll start sending them out.
Nice. Good stuff, man. I appreciate you,
man. I'll let you guys go. Okay. I just want to thank you for coming on. The impact that you guys have on the community is one thing, but since we're all here and we're talking together, I really have to thank you on a personal level. When I first started posting art on Twitter, I went through, it was kind of a pivotal time in my life, and I was kind of questioning a lot of stuff, and there were a couple people there that had a really big personal impact that I will never forget, just who you are. And without even really knowing me, we had done the little man together, but other than that, in real terms, we didn't really know each other that well. And the conversations that we had and your support, you guys and Tim and Aaron Greenberg, I was very lucky to have a group of people around me to just kind of say, you got something here, just keep pushing. And now I feel like, I know it's going to sound really corny, but it feels like the community is a family, and you guys are a huge part of that. So I can't thank you enough for the effect you've had on me personally, and just on behalf of the Xbox community. I mean, I think that we're all really lucky to have you guys in your show, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys at the next events and continue talking and making projects together.
You got to come to PAX East, man. You got to get you on the East Coast now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get you on the East. Now, brother, I mean, again, I have tremendous love for you. The always saw your talent, always from the very beginning. I think it was a matter of getting you to believe in your own talent and how special that you are. And, I remember those conversations. And I just like, keep doing what you're doing, brother. It's gonna get noticed. It's only a matter of time. And to see your growth and trajectory, and to see how Xbox and obviously Greeny and people, continue to collaborate and do stuff with you, it's awesome. And yeah, the talent speaks for itself. And obviously we're blessed to hang out for the majority of Summer Game Fest. I finally got to meet the man, and that was cool.
Fun.
That was fun. That was really cool. I enjoyed those talks, brother. We had some really cool talks and getting to meet everybody. I think that was the first time I met Sean also, for the first time, because we had worked with Sean for a long time before. Sean's awesome.
Oh, LeBray.
Yeah, LeBray. That was the first. You met him, I think.
I met him a lot.
Like, yeah, you got. I have gaps. Yeah, like with people. There's a lot of people that you've met that I've never met. And yeah, you met Ghost. You met Inseparate Ghost. I never met Inseparate Ghost in the flesh.
Well, I met Inseparate Ghost off of.
Yeah.
Always be kind to everyone you meet.
Yeah, you never. Yeah, you never.
Always be kind.
Yeah,
I can't stress that too much to people.
Yes.
Always understand that you have to be at your best. Always, and we're humans. We're going to fail, right? Yes. But intentionally, don't go out to be mean at all. It's just just be a good person. And I had such a great interaction with him because I didn't know who Inseparate was, and me and him was bonding over Battletoads.
Yeah,
and loving the game, and we couldn't understand the criticism about it and whatever, because we understood what the first game was. And I bring it up to anybody. The first game was trash, absolute trash, and the only thing that was good about it was the arcade. And even then, we never had an arcade version of the game. And this game looked incredible. It looked like a Cartoon Network game. Yeah. So, I didn't care about the stuff, but staying in this in the Twitter space, I understand more now. That Microsoft, no matter what, is going to get criticized to whatever degree that is going to be. And it's going to be a situation where sometimes you feel a little bit overwhelmed. And the fact that this community is so tight, you and I started talking, we started collabing with Cog in the background off of Little Man and other stuff. And I said, whatever we can do to be as supportive and as helpful to him, because it's coming from a genuine place. Me and Cog talk separately in the background most of the time. And I said, no, I really like the guy, and I think the guy is cool. And that's why when you posted the badge, I was like, yo, please, everybody just go out and, use the badge. Yeah. He gave it to us for free. And, you always, you have never asked for monetary gain unless there's a project that we brought to you to do something. That's something totally different, right? But you have always offered and gave of yourself, and you're a selfless human being. It's wonderful to see that you are actually thriving in your space, and you can only give encouragement to individuals that you see potential in. Because a lot of times you never know what somebody's up against. And, listen, it's a little picture that I saw. It's a guy digging a hole, and he was digging for a diamond, and he dug so far down and he quit. If he'd have dug one more inch, that diamond was there. He would have been set for life. A lot of people give up on themselves. And I told my son, I said, in this world, many people will disappoint you. Many people will fall short of your expectations. Never disappoint yourself. Never give up on yourself. Allow everybody else to give up on you, but never give up on yourself, because you owe it to yourself. And you never did. And you always pushed. And it's a completely different Ben from the first Ben that I've met, the Ben now. So it was my loss that I didn't get a chance to see you at in California, but hopefully I do get a chance to meet you in person, and we do get a chance to break bread and have conversation. But it was definitely wonderful being on the show today and having a chance to talk with you and build with you and see what positive influence that you do have on the community. So it's a wonderful thing that 30 people will get a chance to have this wonderful coin, because I'm telling you, this is a part of history. This is a part of change. And some point in time in the future, somebody's going to show this coin, and there's going to be a story behind it. and the story behind it is going to be something that rarely never happened. It's going to be something made up. Well, Jesus had the coin and he gave it to old Ben, and Ben made it. It's going to be something crazy, but it's a part of history right now. And Ben, you're a part of that history. So thank you so much for being you. I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I'm lucky to be able to call you friends, and I can't wait to continue to support your work. And if anybody's watching that by some chance doesn't, I hope they find your show, and I hope they get a lot out of it. And and in the stories that you shared, I hope really help inspire some people. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Right on, man. Thanks, guys.
All right, peace.